When an unexpected situation occurs in our programs, we want not only handle it, but also add information to logs. My name is Vitaliy, and I am going to talk about it. When developers start working with Go, they learn that there are no exceptions unlike in other languages. There are errors instead of exception in Golang. And if we don't add any information to an error, it's not obvious where a problem is occurred. Firstly, we can add some clarifying message. After that, we can look up a message string in our code base and figure out where an error has appeared. In the end, we can find the clear message in our logs. The message stays clear while our application is simple. But in more complex services, we can get something like that. The big ball of text can appear when a service has more than 3 layers. Developers usually think about a part that they write at the moment. It's really difficult to think about a whole picture, a whole path of an error. In this situation on the screen, we must trace from the top to the bottom through all parts of our application, all parts of message, because the last message part is too common. Honestly, Stacktrace would look better here. But Stacktrace has a price. And that's why Stacktrace isn't added by default in errors. In other language runtimes, use stack unwinding traversing through function pointers in a stack, like it's shown in the picture. But not in Golang. Go's runtime uses an additional table with information about previous frames. We have to look up at this table for every frame. It's cost of Stacktrace price. There is great repository by .doc where you can find more details. The link is in the QR codes on the screen. How expensive is the Stacktrace in Go? Let's see benchmarks provided by authors of one package for working with errors, RRX. The naive approach with FMTRF is getting Stacktrace by function from the runtime package. It's slower more than 1,000 times compared to FMTRF. But in absolute numbers, is not a lot. It's only half of milliseconds. If we have nested DB call that equals 40 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds, this is the price that we are allowed to pay. Okay, we understood when an accident happens in production environment, we need a clearer error message and all context that is possible. How can we do that? The community creates many helper packages. For example, trace error for adding Stacktrace or panic path that helps to find where panic was thrown. There are some problems with stack traces. Sometimes they are unreadable, and we must not forget to add Stacktrace in logs at the top level of our application. Adding a caller in an error also solves a problem with understanding where an error appeared. Getting a caller is incomparably cheaper than getting a full stack. A Stacktrace is not needed in common situation. Getting only a place where an error occurred in our service is a great trade-off. Return to benchmarks. ErrorX package adds a caller at every place where it's called. It's really fast, only 50 times slower than a simple error. This approach additionally allows us to make a beautiful trace formatter. But how can we add more information to an error? For example, in the payment processing domain, we want to see the user ID, country ID, payment ID, provider name that processes payment, and perhaps something more. If we will use errors for that, we have to return to FMT_RRF and the big ball of text, because our extra information is spread through applications layers. We can get the information about the user and country in the controller, about payment in the use case layer, and about payment provider in the bottom layers. We must not forget to wrap errors from bottom. And didn't forget about additional information. But we can spread additional information through a context. Almost every team where I have worked has written a package for this. This task is not trivial and has issues with duplicated keys, values changing, concurrency, etc. We can write something like this. In the end, we have to use a lot of additional packages or one really complex package. Let's remember, I told that error handling is more about adding logs and traces than about errors. Modern logger packages have a method that helps to add more information in the logger before writing a message. We can gracefully collect all data that needed and to throw logger through context. A part of community can notice that spreading additional information and logger through context is not a go way. It's not totally clear and seems a magic. And we all know context for consolation. But I don't think that it's a problem. Logger's method for adding meta information give thread-safe guarantees. And helper functions can require a default logger for more obvious behavior. And it's really cheap solution that allow us separate logging and managing data flow using errors. To sum up, use standard FMT_RRF approach if your project is not big or for single package. Adding Stacktrace has a price and is not enough. Additional information collecting in every layer is not easy. Use loggers where an error has appeared to have the whole picture in your logs and traces. Thank you for attention.